Welcome to the 60 Plus Podcast.
I'm Janet.
And I'm Joe.
How are you today, Joe?
I'm very well, thank you.
Oh, good.
And
See,
I'm
I
thankful
remembered
for
to
that.
ask.
I'm thankful for that. See what I did there? I've referenced our last episode. I'm
You
practicing.
referenced our last episode. You got to reference this episode. Did you not remember what this episode's about?
I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember if I remember.
Okay, well, that's close because this episode is a myth buster.
What myth are we busting?
That memory
We've
loss.
established that that's really hard to say, right?
Yeah, we did already.
Myth buster.
Yeah, you do remember that. Okay. The myth is that memory loss is a given at 60 plus.
Oh, gosh, I'm hoping that that's not true.
Well, you know what's funny, or it's not funny really, but 87% of Americans are concerned about age-related memory loss and a decline in brain function
How
as
many?
they grow older. 87%.
Do they remember that they're worried
No,
about
I mean,
that?
when you think about that, that's kind of a crazy stat. Like, who is not worried about that? Like small children. It's like as soon as you hit 20, you're like worried about it. That's like almost 9 out of 10.
Did you do that math in your head?
Yeah, I know, right? See, my brain's still functioning.
Very good.
And not only that, 32% believe they can take action to help control that trajectory. Only 32%.
32%
So,
of the 87%?
1 in 3.
And I'd just like to say,
Only 1 in 3.
Janet doesn't even have a calculator in front of her. It's amazing.
I know, right?
It is.
I'm on top of it. The point is that there's a lot of fear around this. And, because of the growth of things like dementia and whatnot,
Mhm.
and the aging population.
And the aging ourselves.
Yeah, and we are. Okay. And I think about it, right? Like, okay,
Every
when you
time I
can't
can't think of
remember
a
a
word,
word,
I-
or where did I put my car keys? And then I
They're
find
under a piece of paper in the drawer. That's
So-
that inside joke is for long-time listeners of the 60
that's
Plus
from
Podcast.
God knows what episode that
Episode
was.
3, probably.
Yeah. But so here's the good news. And
Oh, there's good news.
This is the busting of the myth that it's not a given, and we can actually increase the likelihood that when we reach our 70s and 80s, we'll still be able to summon important memories, and we're not necessarily going to lose that ability.
Well, that's good news.
Right. So we just have
I'm thankful for that.
So we have to prioritize healthy behaviors. And there's no such thing as too young to start taking those steps.
Well, we're not too young.
No,
For sure.
We need to take them right now. Right now.
All right, let's stop this episode and start working on this right now.
So first we have to know what we need to do, right?
What do we need to do?
Well, number 1 is to manage your chronic illnesses.
Okay.
It's about things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes can damage the blood vessels in the brain, and that increases the risk of stroke and dementia.
So it's not even just chronic illnesses, it's chronic conditions.
Yes, correct.
So, like cholesterol. I
Right.
never would have thought that that had something to do with memory loss.
Right,
It has something to do with heart health
right,
and your circulatory system. But,
right. But it's all
surprise,
about,
surprise.
yeah, the blood getting to your brain, right?
Well, is it? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Those conditions can damage the blood vessels in the brain.
Now, before we started recording, you said something about LDL or HDL.
Yes, so people with higher levels of LDL cholesterol, which is the bad one, and lower levels of HDL cholesterol, which is a good one,
Mm-hmm.
tend to have more amyloid plaque in their brain, which
And
is
that's
linked
what
with
stops the synapses from,
Alzheimer's.
yeah, and dementia.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to get your numbers checked. Don't put off going to the doctor. Make sure you're on top of high cholesterol. Even if you're young, you want to get ahead of it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to wait until you're old and, have a serious.
I'm seeing a lot of
problem.
connections between this episode and the last episode about thankfulness. And I've kind of referenced that already. But just doing things that help with gratitude also seem to be helping with addressing memory loss issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're looking quizzically
Well, I'm
at
not
me.
sure why you keep on referring to the last episode.
Trying to get people to
We're
listen.
in the process of trying to record this one,
Mm-hmm.
but okay. So
I got a very quizzical look like, why are you talking about this shit?
what?
Okay.
So the second one is exercise for 30 minutes. Your entire body will benefit
That's it?
from
Just
that.
30 minutes?
30
I
minutes.
can do 30
a
minutes.
few days a week.
Oh, a few days a week.
So your body benefits, but that includes your brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it will improve your cognitive processes and memory while increasing the thickness of your cerebral cortex, which is responsible for tasks like language, thinking, and emotions.
Okay.
So there's a lot of good benefits of brain health. Even if you already have dementia, it's actually recommended that you exercise. So it doesn't really matter what you do.
Well, what I'm reading says it should be aerobic activities like
Yes.
walking, running, swimming.
Correct.
biking.
Moderate intensity, which is about 50 to 80% of your maximum heart rate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the rules of thumb that they gave here, which is helpful, is if you're walking, say, with a friend, you should be a little bit out of breath, but you should also be able to carry on a conversation. So
Okay.
that's kind of a litmus test.
When I walk, I frequently track it on my phone or my watch. It shows your heart rate in there.
Yeah, but there is a range of inaccuracy with those. So,
It's better than not tracking it at all.
well, I'm just saying that maybe this more non-digital means of tracing whether
You're
or
a
not-
Luddite, aren't you?
Yes. I don't have an Apple. I'm not fancy pants like you.
Ever since I've known you, you've said, I need a new phone. You take pictures all the time.
I know, but
And then you look at my phone and you say,
I
wow,
don't-
these pictures are so
I don't
good.
need them to be that accurate.
Okay. All right.
In fact, blurry images when it comes to selfies is a good thing. All right. So, number 3,
Number 3.
rest up.
Okay.
That means
I was dozing off there when you said that. So.
research suggests you should get more than 6 hours of sleep, because if you get 6
Minimum
hours of
7 to
sleep
8, yeah.
or less per night, you have a 30% more likely to be diagnosed with dementia than those who log at least 7 hours.
How much do you sleep?
Wow.
How many hours of sleep do you get?
I think probably around 7.
I thought you were doing good math in your head this
Well,
episode.
no, I was just thinking sometimes I have disrupted sleep though.
Oh.
So
But
I don't know if it has to be like all in one dose, or is it
Dose of sleep?
cumulatively.
it should be uninterrupted. But you can't control that necessarily.
Oh boy, I'm in trouble.
All you can do is set aside the time and hope that it's uninterrupted.
Well, I don't have trouble falling asleep. And this other study found that sleep initiation insomnia, or trouble falling asleep, is associated with 51% increased dementia risk. So that's actually of the two conditions, that's the worst in
Okay.
terms of statistics.
The research I did said the reason that this works is because sleep helps consolidate memories and clear harmful proteins from the brain.
Yeah, it does. Like your brain actually heals itself at night,
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. So as does most of your body, right?
Mhm.
So again, what do you do? Now, we did have an episode on promoting sleep, a whole entire episode.
Did we?
God. Yes, Joe, we did.
Okay. Oh, I believe you.
Yes. But just as a quick take, to improve sleep, caffeine and alcohol in the evening, avoid it,
Mm.
right? Limiting naps, putting away
See, I
electronics.
thought naps were good.
I thought so too. I was just starting to embrace them, like little cat naps, but don't take hours of naps and you won't
That's not
sleep
a
at night.
nap then. That's
Well, all right. So electronics before bed, ixnay on the electronics, K.
okay.
And so if that doesn't work, maybe you might want to go see a sleep specialist and see if you need a more aggressive approach.
After you try all those things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about coffee before. I don't have coffee after 9 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm done with coffee by that point. I might have a decaf.
Yeah.
I've had coffee in the afternoon in the past couple of years, and it was horrendous.
Yeah. It's
That
not
night's
good.
sleep was not good.
I wake up and then I'm like, why am I
I
awake?
used to be able to do it. I used to,
You know?
I'd be in the office and, that slump at
Yeah.
2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon,
Yeah.
I'd go and get a cup of
No
coffee.
more. Now, we did have an episode about this too, right?
About,
Benefits of caffeine, and
Yes.
alcohol. Should
Mhm.
I or shouldn't I?
Mhm.
But, get back to
I
the
remember that one.
gratitude episode, which we just did. That talked about how that helps sleep, like going to sleep with gratitude in your heart type
Oh,
of
right.
thing.
Yep.
Because I guess maybe you're replacing your worries and things with feelings of gratitude. I don't know.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that could be worth a try too.
Sure.
Or, doing like meditative type of stuff or, relaxation, body relaxation. There's all kinds of ways to promote that. And there's a whole episode about that as
Mhm.
well. Number 4,
This one I like. I like this one a
yeah,
lot.
eat like you're vacationing on the Italian coast. Now, I think I need to go on a vacation on the Italian coast to just make sure I really get this
So you,
one
so you
down.
understand it
Yes, I've
fully.
got to go do
See,
face-to-face
it's part of my
research.
heritage, so I
Yeah.
I know how to do it.
So, yeah, they're basically saying a Mediterranean diet, which emphasizes fruits, veggies, whole grains, fish, nuts, seeds, and healthy fats. We also had an episode about this as well, eating
We did,
healthy,
yes,
right?
and we talk about it frequently.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good one to
And I'm
think
not even going to
about.
mention blueberries.
Yeah. But basically, the style of eating.
Did you hear what I said,
I'm
Janet?
ignoring you. I am ignoring you. Emphasize whole foods, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you don't want to have a lot of trans fats or too much salt. And oh my
What
goodness.
did you tell me about
If
trans fats?
you can't pronounce the ingredients in the food, you shouldn't eat it. Processed foods are not good, right?
Right.
We know that. So that's going to help with the brain health.
You were telling me
lot.
something about trans fats before we started recording, and I was shocked. And now you can't find it.
No, it said that even young and middle-aged men who followed a diet heavy in trans fat remembered 11 fewer words out of 104 than those who didn't consume them.
That's
Significant.
it's significant and not surprising, but alarming.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? So get off the processed foods. So the next one is challenge your mind, Joe. Challenge your mind.
Every week I challenge my mind on the 60 Plus podcast.
And they're basically recommending brain boosting activities that are mildly challenging. You don't want it to be so challenging that you're like, you don't do it regularly. Playing games, learning a new language, reading classic literature, things that will kind of get you thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing Wordle every day is probably not enough.
It's
But
not
if
that you
then if you're-
shouldn't do Wordle,
No.
but don't think, oh, I did
I'm
Wordle today,
done.
so I'm all
Yeah,
done.
Yeah. So basically, a variety of things will challenge your brain more. I think travel is so great for this too, because you're taking in so much new information and you're learning about history and you're seeing art maybe that you've never seen before. So I'm going to just travel more. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay, that's a good idea.
6.
To the Italian coast.
Yes, to eat a Mediterranean diet. Next, 6. Chat with a friend or two.
Social interaction is so important in so many ways.
Yep.
In
fact, remember when we did the Blue Zone thing? It
We
was
did.
like the number one thing he said was like, make sure you live in a community where there's engagement, and
Mhm.
social engagement strengthens the neural networks involved with attention and memory. In one study, adults aged 70 to 90 who said they had pleasant social interactions on a given day had better cognitive performance on that day and the following too, compared to when they didn't have such encounters.
Huh.
Yes. Reach out to old friends, join a group, volunteer, whatever it is. Make sure you're talking to people.
I think it's excellent advice.
I think it is too.
All right. Manage stress is the next thing that I see.
Oh, really? Because I have skipped the beer and cigarettes.
Oh, that was
I
next.
suppose you wanted to skip that one,
I
didn't
did want
you?
to skip. Well, I don't
Not
care.
that you smoke.
No. I've never had a
That's
cigarette in
like-
my life.
It leads to cognitive
Do
decline.
you
and
remember when
dementia.
smoking was allowed in more places? and it was
Allowed?
just-
Do you remember when doctors recommended it?
No, I'm not that old, Janet. I don't think I ever had a doctor.
Well, originally when they advertised it, they were like, your doctor recommends smoking. Yay.
Okay, so we can either talk about stress or smoking and alcohol. What do you want to talk about?
I'm going by my list, and skip the beer and cigarettes was
Okay.
first.
Now, alcohol.
Drinking excessively.
Excessively. That word's doing a lot of work in that sentence.
Research suggests it can damage the parts of the brain involved in important functions like memory, decision making, impulse control, and attention. The more you drink and the longer period of time over which you're doing that volume of drinking, the worse it is for your brain.
So I'm going to reference the Blue Zone episode that we did a couple of months ago. And those people would have a 4-ounce glass of red wine on a daily basis. That seems to be fine. Would
Yeah.
am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and that's what it says. It's like the more you drink over a period of time, right? Which means implies that you're having more than one, right?
Sure.
So when you over imbibe, here's your litmus test. If you lose your inhibitions, you've actually gone too far because you're literally causing temporary brain dysfunction.
That's something I learned in college,
Over
I
the
think.
long term, that damage takes a toll.
Last, I guess, is managing stress.
Well, it's not less, but you're anxious to talk about that. So
I
you
am.
go ahead. Lower your stress. Yes.
It's made me very stressful that you didn't want to talk about this.
I'm sorry.
It's not the last one? Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay. But it does negatively affect brain function.
It does.
So reduce the stress, relax, practice gratitude.
Oh, there
It
you
goes
go.
right back to our last episode.
Yeah, or meditate, or all
Meditate,
those
do
other
yoga,
episodes that we've done.
Get plenty of sleep.
One study, for example, people with elevated stress levels had a 37% higher risk of experiencing cognitive issues, including trouble with memory and thinking.
Okay.
And some people find that meditation or mindfulness helps tame stress. Others like yoga or massage. Basically, whatever it is that's going to relax you. A
Mhm.
couple glasses of wine. And then there's
Not white
one
wine, though,
more.
Janet.
Now,
Not white wine.
I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I mean, not recommend. I wouldn't have necessarily thought of this, but given what's been happening around our area the last couple of weeks
Oh, yeah. This is a different one.
with the brush fires and everything, so they're saying wear a mask on bad air quality days, because if air pollution is stinging your eyes or triggering a cough, there's an increased likelihood that that can also be linked to developing dementia. And in fact, they say dementia in our country is pretty much following the map of air pollution. Is that insane or what?
Now, causation isn't proved by that statement. There's correlation, but there's enough evidence there to say, well, why wouldn't I?
Yeah. Yeah. So check daily air quality reports in your town. And if it's high, maybe wear a mask. The other thing is that people have been getting air purifiers.
I have one.
Yeah. I
uh,
need to get one.
And don't sleep with your window open because of the pollen.
Right, because of Hal Linden told us.
Yeah,
that.
Hal Linden. It's the second Hal Linden reference in the last 3 episodes. No, the air filter. I don't run it while I'm sleeping. I usually run it before I go to sleep.
You might want to run it while you're sleeping.
It's pretty quiet, but
Yeah. Some are more quiet than others. But if you believe in that whole white noise thing, that can also help with your
Sure.
sleep.
Sure.
So there you go.
I don't.
A lot of people do, especially if you're in a noisy area
Mhm.
and then you get that white noise.
That-
That'll help
Yeah.
tamper that.
All right.
Yeah. So it's all
Um,
good advice. I think that these are things that we want to do for ourselves anyway. And if it's going to lead to better memory over time and less risk of dementia, I say let's do it.
All right. So we've busted the myth that
Yeah.
memory loss is a given.
It's a given. There's a lot that you can do
It's not a given.
to
And
protect
all of the things that we talk about all of the time on the 60 Plus podcast have so many benefits across a number of things.
hmm
Living longer, living healthier,
happier,
happier.
stressed out, less.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like sometimes we're repeating ourselves,
But it's
but we're emphasizing how important
right.
exercise is, how
Right.
important reducing stress is, how important
Eating
getting a good night's
properly.
sleep. All of those things
Yeah.
really help in
Taking
so
care
many
of your health. Yeah.
different ways. All right, myth busted, would you say?
Yes.
All right, myth busted. That's it for this week's episode of the 60 Plus podcast. I'm Joe.
I'm Janet. Bye.